Is drinking getting in the way of your health, your family, or your work? Maybe it's time to ditch your daily drinking habit. Our next guest is an author who has taken a deeper look into our relationship with alcohol. We welcome her now, Annie Grace. She is the founder and CEO of This Naked Mind, a whole new approach to being alcohol-free. Hi, Annie.
Hi.
Great to have you.
So good to be here.
I love this term alcohol-free, kind of freeing ourselves from that habit that has so many negative factors. Can we start by just talking about kind of the terms sober and the terms alcoholic and how you look at those terms?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, alcoholic is not really a medically or scientifically recognized term anymore. And it certainly, when I was struggling with drinking, it wasn't something that I was really excited to identify with. So it really kept me from asking deeper questions. In fact, according to the CDC, only 10% of excessive drinkers are actually clinically or chemically dependent. So that 90% don't really even fall in that alcoholic category, yet there doesn't seem to be any good options for the 90%. You know, you really have AA or treatment for the 10%, but then if you're just struggling or questioning, but you're not necessarily chemically addicted, you know, what do you do? Where do you go?
Oh, interesting. So you had a history of drinking heavily, and you made a choice at one point to do something about it. So you feel you didn't fall into the alcoholic category?
No, I mean, I could stop drinking for lots of, time, stop drinking during my pregnancies, definitely wasn't drinking sort of in a physically dependent level. I didn't have any withdrawal symptoms, stuff like that, but I was very emotionally addicted. I would say that alcohol really made me feel, I needed it at the end of the day. It was something I really looked forward to, something I felt like I was deprived or missing out if I wasn't able to have a drink. And so that really launched me on this, like, well, why do I feel like that? Especially when I know I can easily not drink and not suffer any consequences. What's going on in my thinking was my big question.
Before we get to your book and the experiment that you put forth for people, to go ahead and try, if they're looking to make a change, and I think, the change has to come within ourselves, doesn't it? It's really hard to tell somebody else they need to do something about their drinking, although I have done that to several people in my life at different times.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work, does it?
No, it really has to be an internal thing, and I think it really goes back to this idea of willpower. Human beings, we don't do something we don't want to do for a long period of time. We can do it for short bouts, but then our willpower becomes fatigued and exhausted. And so if you're making this change for someone else or for something outside of yourself, it's going to eventually run out and you're just going to go back to what you were doing.
Right, that's true. All right, let's talk about the alcohol experiment.
Absolutely. So the alcohol experiment, it's great. It's a free online challenge, social challenge. Every day an email and a video, and you just change your thinking through 30 days. So give up alcohol for 30 days, interrupt your patterns, see how you feel. 94% of people who take a 4-week break feel significantly happier. So that's a plus, lose weight, all that sort of stuff.
Wow, there are so many benefits to not drinking. Oh my gosh, yeah, your appearance, your energy, your health, right? Your relationships. You've mentioned. Let's talk about why it's hard. Let's be honest. You and I have both been social drinkers. Drinking can be fun, and it can make you feel a lot more comfortable in social situations. So when you take that away, what happens?
Well, it's really interesting because chemically drinking actually steals your ability to experience joy and have fun, and it has to do with this whole dopamine cycle. So, and what I realized is that for me, that moment of relax and release was really when I was opening the bottle and pouring the wine. It's like, but it wasn't actually when I was drinking it. So there was a massive placebo effect in there.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Certainly not the next morning if you woke up feeling the effects of it. That's when it really kicks in. That's interesting because that reminds me a lot of what people say when they have a hard time giving up smoking. It's the standing outside with my friends, standing around lighting
breathing
something
deep.
up that I really, taking that moment. So maybe it's finding that moment to put work aside, and it's complicated, isn't it? But you've helped people do it, and you'd like them to jump on and try this challenge and make a change as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 50,000 people who are doing it currently online.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Really cool.
What kind of feedback have you been getting from people?
Oh, just incredible. I mean, I feel like when somebody takes a break from alcohol with, a 30-day break or dry January, you're really waiting for that day 31 to jump back in. And, it's almost as if it's forbidden fruit. You want something more because you're not allowing yourself to have it. Where with the alcohol, it's so true. With the alcohol experiment, it's really every day is a mindset shift. So day 15, you're like, oh, this is cool. You're not looking at it with dread. You don't have that forbidden fruit. So day 30, you're like, maybe I'll go 30 more days, or maybe I'll just drink on occasion, and you really can go back into it without, the mental noise you had before.
Great advice. Great to have you. What a great conversation to have. I think there's a lot of people out there who are probably tuning in and relating.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Rethink your relationship with alcohol by picking up a copy of The Alcohol Experiment. It's available now. ThisNakedMind.com is where you can check it out. Bestseller Publishing is a proud sponsor of The Morning Blend.